didn't make a video about this when it was announced because I find the story absolutely annoying. Look, am I talking about the story of the Covington kids? Yes, that was annoying too, but I find it particularly annoying that everyone is pushing a story about how there may be a lawsuit against CNN soon. Tell me when the lawsuit is filed. I don't need to be talking about this. However, I'm going to talk about peripheral issues, and the main reason I decided to do a video talking about the upcoming lawsuit against CNN is primarily because as long as I've known, as long as I've been involved in any kind of litigation, I've often been advised by many lawyers and experts, don't announce a lawsuit until you're doing it. Don't threaten people with legal action. You're giving them an opportunity to shore up a defense. That's why I get really annoyed when we have, this story's been going on for a few days, that Nick Sandmann's lawyers are going to be suing CNN. Okay, great. Listen, we should be running this story when they file the paperwork. But let's read this. Being part of the $250 million club should be good news, except when you're CNN and you join the Washington Post as another news outlet being sued over its coverage of the phony hate incident involving Covington Catholic high school students. Lawyer L. Lynn Wood is representing students Nicholas Sandmann and said CNN was probably more vicious in its direct attacks on Nicholas than the Washington Post. Wood said the lawsuit will be filed this week, and it will likely be higher than the $250 million lawsuit against the Post. CNN has a lot to answer for. CNN has a lot to answer for its smears against Sandmann, starting near the beginning of the January 18th incident. Recall, the media feeding frenzy was based off a short video. Longer videos were soon available. So I want to make sure I'm being fair. I think it's important to point out that L. Lynn Wood was doing an interview and just said, yeah, we're gearing up for this. What's frustrating is the willingness to just, it's like piranhas, vultures jumping on the story and pushing it out far and wide before it's actually happened. With L. Lynn Wood saying it will likely be fired this week, I think we're looking at as early as today. I mean, it is this week, but maybe it'll be a few days until we actually see something. That's when I think it'll be important to start bringing this stuff up. But because I absolutely detest fake news and the fake news media, let's still go through this and see what their point is. This story from Fox News is specifically talking about the viciousness of CNN. And so I think this is a good jumping off point to get into media trust, which, I obviously cover a lot, and talk about my criticism. So let's read on. An official CNN tweet from 2 days later, still up at this writing, blamed Sandmann and his classmates. Video shows a crowd of teenagers wearing Make America Great Again hats, taunting a Native American elder after Friday's Indigenous Peoples March at the Lincoln Memorial. It reads, the current image at the top of CNN Twitter feed is its now infamous apple with the hashtag facts first. The January 23 story that the tweet linked to went on to misreport events, even though it has been updated several times. Later, video made it clear the events were far different from the initial reporting. Still, here's CNN. A crowd of teenagers surrounded a Native American elder and other activists and appeared to mock them after Friday's Indigenous Peoples March at the Lincoln Memorial. That's 5 days after the event. However, they say appeared to. They qualified the statement. So I also, it's going to be complicated because one of the big arguments happening right now is whether or not Nicholas Sandmann is a public figure. His defense team is arguing he isn't, but I believe Washington Post is, they may be, I'm not entirely sure, that they're arguing he is a limited public figure in that he was thrust into the limelight whether he wanted to or not. And so as someone being talked about in the public, they covered him. They had no obligation to get their facts straight. I actually lean towards that's a terrifying precedent. And we should absolutely not do that. Think about this. You can be minding your own business and someone films a video of you, lies about what you did, and then you're a public figure. You could try everything in your power to try and, to be private and not get involved in politics, and someone else can force you and take away defamation protections. Hell no. Let's read on. There was a lot more. CNN gave 18 minutes and 16 seconds to the first narrative of the event Saturday into Sunday that targeted the Covington students. That afternoon, correspondent Sarah Sidner was already pulling back from the initial feeding frenzy. She redirected the blame, noting it is clear what started the tension were the black men who called themselves Hebrew Israelites. CNN contributor Bakari Sellers tweeted about Sandmann on January 19th. He is deplorable. Some people can also be punched in the face. On February 1st, Sellers was still blasting the students, this time on air, tying them by example to the racism of Virginia Governor Ralph Northam. Sellers explained of the students that their behavior being appalling and unacceptable, and the way they interacted with the Native Americans at the Lincoln Memorial. Another anchor Chris Cuomo blatantly took sides on January 22nd, again 4 days after the initial incident. He said the Native American man who drummed right in front of Sandman apparently wanted to diffuse the tension and walked up to do exactly that. That's so crazy. That even after we know it was Nathan Phillips who was trying to instigate something with these kids who were just doing, like, minding their own business, they try to make it seem like him getting in the face of Sandman was to calm things down. He started the tension. The kids were just jumping up and down. That's ridiculous. He went on to blame the kids, though he said he didn't. He read a tweet from the president supporting the students, then took the other side after ranting against Trump. You neglect that they were victims of their own choices and actions. He also blamed Sandman for making the incident into a standoff. Apparently, Sandman was supposed to flee rather than face media criticism for something he didn't do. One thing that no one really paid attention to, so when this story first broke, I looked, I ignored it. Someone sent me a video and they were like, check this, this thing out, this kid, he's a bigot or whatever. And I watched it and I'm like, dude, I have no idea what this is. All I see is some kid smiling and some dude banging a drum. There's so much that could have happened. So I ignored it. The story started going viral. And I'm like, why is everyone talking about this? I tweeted, like, I don't even see anything. So I found another video and you see Phillips walk up to Sandman. And I'm like, so here we have a video of a Native American guy walking up to a kid and banging a drum. What is the problem? Like, I don't understand why everyone's mad. I looked at other videos. It was clear that these kids weren't doing anything. First of all, I couldn't hear anyone chanting, build that wall, like Phillips was claiming. Phillips clearly walked up to the kid and got in his face. And Sandman was seen in a video going like this to his friend, like, no, like basically trying to say, chill out, calm things down. Yet for some reason, all of the media just ran with this insane story. And this is why I think, I said on the Joe Rogan podcast when talking to Jack that if they don't solve this problem, they're going to get a sledgehammer from regulators. Well, apparently now a Florida state senator, so it's a state level, has already proposed a bill that would restrict a social media company with 75 million users or more from censoring people. So they have to follow legal speech. Whether that makes it to the federal level, I don't know. You'll have to have someone file that paperwork. But the point is, we're getting to the point where Twitter knows the power of their platform. The reason I bring this up is because the story emerged. Journalists just follow each other and they ignore anyone else. They think they're all like God's gift. They're the arbiters of truth. And now what do we see from that? Fake news being pushed to a ridiculous degree. Well, I said on the Dave Rubin show the following day, maybe it's time. Maybe it is time that the regulators come in with sledgehammers and knock it all down. Because what I'm seeing is, yes, there may be principled people in Twitter somewhere. Jack Dorsey may believe, he's doing the right thing and trying to maximize good, but you can't. The problem can't be solved. It literally, I don't know what you do other than just, blockchain, open to everybody, illegal speech will be punished, same as anything else. And I don't know. Our culture has a serious problem with believing nothing can change because of social media and because of the permanence of things that were said. And because these things exist forever, no one forgets. We used to say you should forgive and forget. Anonymous came along and said, we will not forgive and we will not forget. And while a lot of young people rallied around that because it sounded badass, it's actually rather terrifying to think that was the motto being pushed only 7 or 8 years ago. That, we know who you are and we'll never forget what you've done. People can't change. So now we have people who still believe Sandman did this. We have journalists who refuse to change. Even after days later, they try to claim that it was Nathan Phillips trying to diffuse the situation 4 days after it happened, when we knew the day of. They say, to her credit, CNN host S.E. Cupp joined pundits from several outlets recanting her initial criticisms of the students. Hey guys, seeing all the additional videos now, and I 100% regret reacting too quickly to the Covington story. I wish I'd had the fuller picture before weighing in, and I'm truly sorry. Wood told Fox News channel Life, Liberty, and Levin that the attack was part of CNN's agenda against the president. He explained that the goal was to smear a young boy who was, in its view, an acceptable casualty in their war against the president. Cuomo's remarks made that obvious. Maybe it's time to take the sledgehammer. I'm not saying destroy everything. I'm saying some things need to be restricted and knocked down. Some institutions have grown completely out of control. And I'm stressed this too because I tweeted about it the other day. There are so many memes popping up, and they're like pretty crappy memes because they're from people who like are pro-censorship, I guess. And if you're pro-censorship, you probably don't get a lot of access to information because you're in favor of restricting it. I can't tell you how many comments I've seen saying things like, "All these conservatives concerned about censorship, but not realizing it's a private platform and they advocate for a free market, blah, 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 blah." I am in favor of a mixed economy, which means free market to an extent, and the government should regulate. And when a platform gets too big, it needs to be regulated. How they take that, what I'm saying, and then try and act like I am a laissez-faire capitalist, ANCAP libertarian, right-wing free market conservative, it's insane. And it was Claire Lehman from Quillette tweeted, it's because people's politics come in a package. That you can't have someone be centrist or heterodox. You can't have someone who recognizes there's some good on the left, some good on the right, a lot of bad on the left, a lot of bad on the right. We got to find the good things to move forward. Yes, I think we're reaching a point where the media has gone absolutely out of control and we need some constraints. Information is traveling too fast. People are pulling things out of context endlessly. I made a video on this channel months ago talking about how I, as a mixed race person, was fascinated by research saying that race mixing was a good thing, and they call it hybrid vigor. And I said, I'm not a scientist, I don't know too much about it, but I think it's important context when talking about, the far left and far right. And activists on the far left screenshotted it and tried to make it seem like I was advocating against my own body. People are insane. They're pushing insane things for insane reasons, and these insane stories that end up on Wikipedia and enter the ledger. We have to do something to reject this, to fight back. We need some kind of restriction. I don't know what it is. I don't know how, I have ideas. But more importantly, a lot of people say, oh, Tim doesn't have any solutions. He just has, you can point out the problems. No, it's because solutions require communication and planning. And I'm not going to sit here and just throw, spaghetti. Here's a bunch of ideas, throw them at the wall, see what sticks. No, we're going to sit down, have a conversation and figure out how to deal with fake news, the loss of trust in media, and the psychosis that is generated from platforms like Twitter. Stick around. I got another video coming up at 4 p.m. that addresses more of this, the Tucker Carlson incident, which I'm currently working on, and I will have that video at youtube.com/Timcast. It's a different channel than this one. I will see you there.